Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're here, you're likely someone pushing boundaries, maybe in business, as a coach, or in athletics. You're always after that next level.
Absolutely. And today we're digging into something quite internal, actually. It's from Coach Ed Padalecki's 1% Better Daily. This concept he calls your inner guide.
Right. The idea is that really connecting with this guide can unlock more potential, more alignment in whatever you're pursuing.
It's an interesting take, especially for high performers. We often focus outwards, on new tactics, new strategies.
Exactly. But Coach P shifts the focus inward. He talks about building this vision of your peak performance best self. Now, you've probably done some work on that already to find what that looks like for you.
Most driven people have some idea.
But here's the kicker, the question Coach Padalecki really hits on and what we want to explore. How often, like really, during your packed day, do you consciously check in with that version of yourself?
That really cuts through the daily grind, doesn't it? Coach P introduces this idea of a constant internal observer. He literally calls it this peak performance version of you, always there, watching.
Okay, an observer. And you mentioned this isn't totally new.
Not at all. It echoes through history, actually. Coach Padalecki points out parallels. Like the Stoics had this concept of the other. Modern thinkers might call it, your conscience.
Interesting. And he specifically mentions the ancient Greeks.
Yes, the daemon. That's a really fascinating one. As Coach P frames it, the daemon wasn't some external spirit, but more like your highest self, your inner potential, the part of you that knows what you could be.
Your potential self. So not quite an external guide, but an internal one.
Exactly. And the key point Coach Padalecki highlights, drawing from people like the Stoics, is that connecting with this, nurturing this relationship, that was everything for them.
Everything. How so?
They believed genuine happiness, they called it eudaimon, which is more like deep flourishing or living well, came directly from aligning your daily actions, your choices, with this higher rational self. For the Stoics, it was about virtue and reason.
So it's about internal harmony, not just, say, hitting sales targets or winning games, though that might follow.
Right, it's foundational. And Coach P also briefly notes how this idea of alignment resonates in other traditions too, like a biblical perspective.
Okay, how does that fit?
Well, without getting deep into theology, Coach P mentions that from that viewpoint, flourishing often involves living according to a higher purpose or divine will, cultivating certain virtues, like the fruit of the Spirit, and having a God-centered focus. Different context, same theme of alignment with something bigger than just your immediate wants.
Got it. So whether it's philosophy or faith, there's this recurring idea of connecting to a deeper self.
Precisely. And Coach Padalecki really brings this down to earth. For the listeners, for you, he frames it very practically. Tap into your peak performance best self for real-world results in business and life.
Making it actionable. Which leads us to a pretty direct question he poses.
Yep. He just asks point blank, how's your relationship with your peak performance best self? It forces you to stop and, reflect.
It really does make you pause. Are my choices, the little things I do all day, actually lining up with that ideal? Or am I getting pulled off course by, distractions, maybe doubt or even fear? How often do I even think to check?
And that's a critical consideration for everyone listening. Think about those moments you face a choice. Are you acting from that place of your long-term values, your core, the essence of that peak performance best self?
Or just reacting. Reacting to pressure may be what feels easiest right then.
Exactly. Which might actually be taking you away from where you ultimately want to go.
This links straight into alignment, doesn't it? Something we talk about a lot in the peak performance space. It's not about massive leaps overnight.
No, it's about those small, consistent choices. The ones that, little by little, close the gap between where you are now and that high-performing future self you've envisioned.
And Coach P uses a great analogy here.
He does. He suggests seeing that ideal self as a kind of coach or mentor cheering you on. It reframes it,
Wow.
Not a harsh critic inside your head, but a supportive guide.
I like that. A cheerleader, not a judge.
Right. And so every one of those 1% better micro choices Coach Padalecki talks about, it's not just chipping away at a goal, it's actively strengthening that relationship with your best self. It's like sending a signal inwards. Hey, I'm serious about this.
You're building rapport with that inner mentor, that daemon, showing through action you're committed. Okay, so this leads to Coach P's challenge for us today.
Exactly. He keeps it very focused, he says. Identify one small thing, just one area where you're currently working on a 1% better plan.
Not trying to fix everything at once, just
Yeah.
one specific thing.
And then, crucially, take some time, even if it's just 5 minutes, he says, or 1 minute if that's all you have. Take that time today to reflect on it.
Okay, reflect on that one thing. But then what?
Then comes the key part, and Coach Padalecki is really clear on this. Make a decision that aligns with your values. He stresses this isn't just agreeing something is a good idea.
Right, it's different from just feeling like you should do it.
Totally different. A decision means you commit to act, even if, and this is important, even if it clashes with how you feel in the moment.
That's powerful. Choosing based on your goals and values, even when emotions pull you elsewhere. Like choosing the workout when you feel tired or making the tough call aligned with your principles.
Precisely. Coach P argues that making these aligned choices again and again is how you move towards actually embodying that peak self. It's the mechanism.
And he brings back that image of the inner guide.
He does. He reminds you that your peak performance best self is, in his words, watching and cheering you on. That creates this internal accountability, but also encouragement.
Knowing your ideal self is invested in your progress. That could be a real motivator when things get tough.
Definitely. And his final push is direct. Don't wait for tomorrow. Act today. Strengthen that connection now.
That urgency feels important. Seize the moment to reinforce that relationship.
So wrapping this up, Coach Padalecki's core message here is really quite practical. This connection with your peak performance best self, your inner guide, it's not just philosophical fluff. It's a potent force for achieving your goals and, frankly, living with more purpose. It's about that internal alignment.
It really boils down to making your actions match your aspirations consistently. Okay, so here's a final thought to take away from our deep dive today.
Let's hear it.
Think about one specific situation coming up today, even a small one. Where could consciously choosing alignment with your peak performance best self, making that slightly harder but better choice, yield a surprising result? Not just in performance, but maybe in how fulfilled you feel.
That's a good challenge. Notice the impact of those micro-alignments.
Exactly. Keep exploring this. See what happens when you actively engage that inner guide. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.